Welcome in, and thanks so much for joining me. In this episode, I'd like to talk about how to practice loving kindness or metta in everyday life. So there's a lot of practices out there for working with loving kindness meditation or metta in formal meditation. But I've noticed, besides my formal meditation, I tend to practice it a lot in short moments throughout the day. Especially in moments like relational moments when I'm around groups of people, around friends, family, etc. And so I thought to share a little bit of, ideas, practical tips on how you might also integrate that into your day, into your everyday life. Before I go into that, I'll just say for any formal practice on loving kindness or metta, you can of course apply what I'm going to talk about here. But if you want some other ideas or some other kinds of practices to work with, I highly recommend my friend Sharon Salzberg. She's, one of the best teachers on loving kindness and metta these days. So she has lots of books on it, lots of podcasts and teachings. So go check her out. I highly recommend that. So as far as everyday practice, I find what's most sustainable for me is short moments of what I call somatic care or somatic warmth. So for some of us, that's difficult. So I'm going to talk about some other options in a moment if you can't connect to warmth in the body. And I'm not talking about like warmth like whether you're cold or hot. Obviously, I'm not talking about that kind of a warmth. What I'm talking about is something centered in the chest where we feel a sense of generosity, of connection. Of course, we describe loving kindness as the wish or idea that others can be happy and have the causes of happiness. But besides that conceptual idea, what does that feel like to you? And again, I think an easier way to connect with this is just to think of someone close to you, a loved one, a pet, a friend that's really dear to you, and just bring their image to mind for a moment. And what I like to do when I bring their image to mind is imagine them smiling or laughing. And just notice what you feel. Not what you're thinking, what you feel. There's some warmth, right? I mean, maybe there's a little bit of physical heat or warmth, but there's also something else. There's something that lights up. Maybe light is a better term than warmth. Anyways, something lights up here, right, in our heart center. Something becomes brighter. Maybe we feel a little bit more at ease, but we also feel connected, right, to them. There's also this sense of, love, just this sense of warmth, of care towards them. That's very natural. So did you feel that? If not, it's okay. I'll go into some other ways to practice this in a moment. But that is one way to bring metta or loving kindness into your daily life in a really embodied or what I call somatic way. Somatic just means having to do with the body, right? So it's simple, it's direct. All we have to do is sort of remember the person or remember to generate that, right? And of course, it's a lot easier with those we love, who we're close to, that, it comes more easily with those kinds of people. But I also recommend practicing this with strangers, with people you don't know, with people eventually that you dislike, right? Which is a lot harder, but we move into that as we progress. And as you practice it, it becomes more easy. It becomes sort of like a tone in our feeling world that we can generate, that we can connect to. And just like anything else, the more we habituate to it, the more we connect to it, the more it's gonna happen, right? And the easier it's gonna get. So that's probably like the simplest. I mean, it's not simple to do, but it's simple once we connect to that. It's simple to remember, and we can arouse it. We don't have to think a bunch. We don't have to do some big practice. We just generate it in the moment. So I recommend doing that as many times as you can throughout the day. When I'm doing formal loving kindness meditation, when I'm sitting on my meditation cushion, I mainly do that, because for me, it's just easier than a bunch of, gymnastics having to think. But if we can't generate that, or there's a block, which is very, very common. So if you're having a block to that, please, no need to feel bad or there's something wrong with you. It's very common. We can use, so instead, if we're having that block, we can use some kind of reflection to generate that, right? And so here, often what's taught is a phrase, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be at ease, right? Anything where you're sending someone ease, happiness, genuine well-being, health, wealth, whatever it is, right? You're sending them good vibes, more or less, right? And if you can't feel the good vibes, you can think the good vibes. So you just literally silently say that to yourself, and you think of someone. So again, we can bring up a loved one. We can bring up, a friend, a family member, a pet. Imagine them in a happy state, smiling, laughing, etc. And then we can just gently say, silently say in the mind, may you be happy. May you be at ease. May you be healthy. May you be well. And there's many more versions of those phrases, right? Pick one that resonates with you. You don't have to have a bunch. You can just use one, but it needs to resonate. And how you'll know it resonates is you'll start to feel at ease as you recite it, as you repeat it in your mind. May you be well. And just let the phrase resonate. Let it impact what you're imagining as well with this person or pet. May you be well. Like that. Now, if you didn't already notice it, this is also something you can do for yourself, right? You can send to yourself. But what I've noticed is that when we do it for others, it kind of loops around to ourselves eventually. It's, we start to feel also more at ease. We start to feel good. We start to feel love and warmth because we're the ones generating it, right? So those are the two main ways I work with it. As I said, I work a little bit more with the felt experience. It's not on call for me all the time, but if I've gotten enough sleep and enough caffeine, usually it's on call, even a little bit. So that's kind of my last comment here. It doesn't have to be some grand experience. Often when I'm teaching loving kindness meditation and people think, I'm not getting it, what's wrong with me? Am I blocked? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be some huge, massive experience. Just like a little, when you just open the window a teeny tiny bit and a little bit of air comes through, if it's a cold day, like that, right? Or a little bit of light coming through. You move the blinds just a little bit, right? That's enough. Just be okay with that. Be satisfied. It's plenty, right? And of course, the more you do that, the more you tap into either the phrases, repeating the phrases, or generating, the feeling of warmth, the feeling of generosity, appreciation, love. The more you do it, the more you get used to it, and it becomes easier, it becomes natural. It starts to happen more, right? And of course, the blinds will open more. So just trust that is my recommendation. One thing I forgot to say, and this is truly lastly, some of us do genuinely have trouble with, I guess I would call it sort of valuing ourselves, self-worth, and or we feel kind of hollow, empty. We're always seeking outside of ourselves for satisfaction and or, some approval, right? I've struggled with this in my life. One practice that really, really helps with this is one I repeat a lot in my podcast and channel, as well as many guided meditations I do. This is a practice from my teacher, Sokni Rinpoche, called the handshake practice or handshaking practice. So I recommend that because when we're struggling with loving kindness meditation, sometimes the handshake practice, which is a somatic, kind of more feeling-based practice with awareness, sometimes working with that can start to shift things and make loving kindness or metta a little bit easier. So I also recommend that. You can check that out. Obviously, I said, my channel, I got a bunch of guided meditations, but more than that, I recommend going to the source. Please go to soknirimshe.org and or Fully Being, which is his course that prominently talks about handshake practice and sort of what that does. Okay, so that's about it. Let me know if some of this helped you. Again, this is really aimed at sort of everyday on-the-spot practice. Please try it. Let me know how it goes, either of these methods. And feel free to reach out at scottdusa.com at my website, or you can always leave a comment here on YouTube. Thanks so much, and wishing you all the best in your life and practice. Take care.